Hi and welcome everyone to our 12th Dev Chat for Puzzling Places. My name is Daniel. I'm the co-founder of realities.io, and with me today I have a face that you all know already, which is our creative director, Shah. And we have also a new person joining us today, which I want to introduce to you, which is Stephanie Field, our new marketing and community manager. If you're wondering why Azad's face is not on this screen, as you might be used to, Azad has switched to Niantic and is still doing a lot of amazing scanning work around Gaussian splatting and the Scaniverse. So we unfortunately could not hold him back from this amazing opportunity, but we're extremely excited what he's going to do there and how he's going to move scanning forward. So make sure to also check out what he's working on. We wish him all the best and are looking forward to future collaborations. But with that out of the way, I would say I hand over the mic to Stephanie, who will be hosting our dev chat today.
So hello everyone and welcome to our latest dev chat. This time we're going to have a quick Q&A session and then take a quick look back at everything that happened this year in 2024. So this is going to start with a few questions that our community has asked us here on Discord and Reddit, and everywhere you're able to reach us. So some of these are burning questions that people have asked before. Some of them are new, which they find answers to. So let's get started and jump into some of the questions. I have some up here. So Texatron has asked us, are you looking into an engine update?
So yeah, the engine update question is one of the things that I know everyone is very curious about. Unfortunately, the thing with development is you just, you sometimes just can't tell. Like you have something not working. It could take a day. It could take forever. You never know. And until that thing is working, we also can't say much about how much improvement we will have, which feature we are using. I can already say that some of the specific features that PlayStation offers, like, I don't know, foveated rendering, the dynamic foveated rendering, it could be that we don't even need it because we might hit such a high resolution that it doesn't matter. We could just render everything all the time. Or it could be that we will use it. It's really hard to know, but we do have some blockers. And I just have to say, Unreal Engine has been out for like 24 years, no? Longer, actually. That was the first Unreal. So all this time, it's just a giant of a software. And sometimes to fix a little thing, you have to go down the rabbit hole deeper than Alice. And,
Yeah, but we make good progress. So that much we can, I think, say for sure. And it will happen.
Sure. The next question has been asked by multiple people. Are you looking into adding multiplayer lobbies to the game?
So this question, I think I also answered in a previous dev chat or the one before. So the thing with multiplayer lobbies is that unless there's a huge number of people waiting constantly to play with other people, adding a multiplayer lobby wouldn't make a difference. And of course, if our resources was not so limited, why not? We could have done it anyway, but because it would always cost something else. So if you're looking at some cool new things that came out, like Dance of the Damned, or what is going to be out by the time this is out, Tiny Glade, that would be the cost. Like, we wouldn't be able to do that, but you would get a multiplayer lobby. And right now, because I did see some people mention that, okay, but the multiplayer is so popular and people are using it. Unfortunately, multiplayer adoption is around like 4, 5, 6% most of the time. So of the total player base. Depends, and it varies quite a lot depending on what part of the month. When puzzle packs are released, people play with each other a lot more. But it rarely ever goes above like 14 or 15%. So most of the time it's around 4 or 5%. And that means for us right now, it doesn't make a lot of sense to put a huge amount of resources on it. But we would love, as much as any other person who loves the game, to improve multiplayer.
It's mainly like what are we going to work on first question.
That's good to know. Where is my next question? I am very lost. There we go. So Shiro Ken has asked us, what is the greatest wish you would like to achieve at this point? I'm also very interested.
Yeah, we thought of it about ahead of the dev chat, and I think I would just love to have the possibility to make even more ambitious puzzle productions, because we have so many ideas of like stuff that we want to do. And at the moment, the main limiting factor always is this: it has to be kind of cost efficient, right? I mean, we have a certain amount of people who buy a DLC, and that gives us a budget of what we can invest, and it is limited. It works. I mean, we can make puzzles every month, and we can also make some of the more advanced puzzles that we're going to talk about later. But like with like 1,000 people more buying the puzzle, we have more budget. And if it's 10,000 people buying more, then we have suddenly like a really cool budget that we can work with, and that we can maybe even like go scan stuff that we don't have already. So right now we're licensing a lot of things. So it just opens up a lot more possibilities, and I think that would be super exciting for us.
Following on from that,
Yeah.
I'm curious. If money was no object, what would be like the most ambitious puzzle you'd like to make?
I mean, one
question.
thing that people always ask for is like the Eiffel Tower, and so I'm not even sure it would be a fun puzzle, but like I kind of like the idea of having it in there just to have it in there. And but yes, the productions like that. Well, it's a lot of work to scan a place like that, but it's even more work almost to get the permissions to fly drones there, to like do all that. So you would have to run like a proper production, and that just takes a lot of time and power. Like Schloss Neuschwanstein in Germany would be another one. I think that would be really cool. We've already like brainstormed how we could maybe fly with a hang glider, because that's the thing that happens there a lot. So people fly hang gliders, like shoot the photos from the hang gliders and so on, because drone permits are also difficult there. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and I think also bigger sizes or like just the game being bigger then allows us also to maybe work with IPs. But I think that's a question that's going to come later.
Yeah, and you will see in a puzzle like Tiny Glade, animation does make a lot of difference. And most of the ways that we do animations, like 1 or 2 people work on a puzzle, and they're very limited on how much animation they can add. And if we did have a lot more budget, we could work with more professional animators that do this for a living, and they can really add like life to things and build more systems like the one in Barcelona with the traffic cars and stuff like that, so that your puzzle really comes to live in a sense. Another thing that I would really love to do, but it's very expensive, is music. Like music is such an important aspect of emotionality. Like I would be very happy if we ever make a puzzle that makes people cry or really gets them really emotional. And for that to be possible, we would really need to have a linear experience that builds up, and music is a big part of it. But to work with a composer, we are at least looking at a budget of 5,000 euros. And that would be a composer that is not very expensive, probably at the beginning of their career. If you want to work with a bigger name, you're talking 10 to 20,000 euros. And all of that is just the music. That's completely out of the realm of the current production puzzle thing. But if there's like 5 times as many people buying DLCs, we would be able to do something like that. Yeah, if one can dream.
That does sound very cool. I really like the idea of you guys flying around on hang gliders, scanning things. I like that sort of mental image. It's very cool.
That would make for a good dev chat also.
We'll have to live stream that whole process if you ever end up doing that. I'd love to make a video about that too. Okay, moving on. Let's talk a little bit more about ambitious puzzles. How much more work goes into an ultra premium puzzle like Summer Dive and Sunny Stroll in Barcelos? This was asked by Corvon.
Yeah, a lot more, and to a degree, almost to a point where it's not financially, doesn't make a lot of sense. So some of those puzzles, so the question of what you would do if money wasn't an issue, with Summer Dive, that is kind of was my answer, because I started the project in my free time and I wanted to just make a puzzle and see how far can the game go without any limitation on the production budget. And that was super expensive. It took a ridiculous amount of time. The part of it that was interesting, though, is that people really like the animation. So, and we will talk about this a little bit later when we are talking about the new puzzles we did this year. We tried this year to come up with a series of systems to make it possible to produce a puzzle like that without breaking our back. And the first of its kind was Dance of the Damned. That was still a very expensive puzzle and still financially probably not all that good, but at least it was done within our normal productions time. that would have taken us to do day-night Battaglia or day-night Vazirkan. During the same amount of time, we could do that. And these systems we can talk a bit about.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the ways we kind of justify this additional spend is that we always try to build these new systems. That then the next time we do this kind of puzzle, it's faster, and so we can provide more value with like this upfront investment done once, and just make puzzles that we are also more excited about making.
Yeah. To give you a scale of that for Barcelos and Summer Dive, I remember working on it like evening and weekends for around 4 months. And a normal puzzle production would take us 2 weeks. So it's a completely different scale. But again, the systems can be reused later. We do try to develop in a way that the systems are reused later. But if you are coming with something completely new, it would take months of work to get that.
Because I know personally, I really, really like puzzles like Summer Dive, or like the fish swimming around, sort of my personal favourites. So I know that myself and many of our fans would absolutely love to see more kinds of puzzles like that. Although maybe it would mean a few more, shall I say, sleepless nights from your side, Shah.
I have a sleepless nights anyway. The question is, what am I programming? I'm always programming for fun and making some procedural arts. So it's all the same.
Well, next time I see you awake at 3 a.m., I'll know it's because you're working on the next puzzle.
Yeah, hopefully not. I'm not trying to. I'm trying not to set a precedence of that.
Yeah, a bit of a bad habit, but sometimes it happens. Next question from Corborn again is asking, I have just closed my tab. Is there any chance that an anchor function will be added to the game?
So yes, anchor function is on our list since how long?
Since before the game was released.
Yeah, since before the game was released. So it's again, it's like one of those things. Like there is just always. I think that the thing to understand is we have, thanks to this monthly updates that we do, we have a very limited time where we actually can build new things. And then this year also, I have to say, there was a lot of trouble just coming from Meta side, because they were like updating their stuff and then like it breaks things, and then this time that we can usually use for like adding small little features like the anchor tool, then gets suddenly eaten up by bugs, or like just something that we have to look into. And yeah, that's always very sad, but all I can say, it's on the list. We would love to build it, put it in there. I think it absolutely has a place. We just have to find a moment for it to do it between all the other things that are happening.
That's always the way, isn't it? The next question we have is from, I like this username, I'm Caffeinated Chris. I am also caffeinated. I have lots of tea, very British of me. The question is, when will we see a Star Wars puzzle?
Yeah, when we have a couple of million downloads, probably. So no, this is the thing, and we've been like exploring this path of like working with other IPs this year. So we've worked with Walkabout Mini Golf, like a game that we love a lot, and where we know the developers quite well, and even there it was like a really long process to set that up. Now we will also work with Tiny Blade. That also only happened because Shah had like personal connections to them. So with these bigger IP names, it's like a million times harder, because they will ask us like, okay, what do we get out of this deal? Why should we do this? Then we cannot pay them, like not a meaningful amount, like nothing that makes them even pick up the phone. So either we're lucky, and for some other reason they're interested in maybe stepping inside VR, like trying out something. Maybe you are lucky and like some of the execs like plays the game, or like their daughter plays the game and like they really love it, and then these things can happen. But like at the moment we're completely at the mercy of fate, so to say there, because like on a business level it would just not make sense for them, unfortunately. But we will try, and we will continue to try to maybe like look to work with other IPs that are more approachable for us.
Basically, what I'm hearing is, if any of our viewers have any connections to the Star Wars team, to contact us, and then we'll make it happen.
Absolutely, it's not a technical problem.
But I'd love to see more tie-ins personally. I really love the tiny glade puzzle. I love being able to pet the sheep. It's so cute. And I'd be super excited to see more of those and play them. And yeah, I'd be really happy to see more of that. Where did we get to? Okay, our next question comes from Medical Morning 9301, who would like to know which platform sells better.
That's a very easy answer. It's Quest. So Quest is the main platform for us. I think it's also just the platform with the most activity in VR from what we can judge and also what we hear from other developers. PlayStation VR is up there. Like it's not that complete peanuts or something like that. So we do make sales there as well. Pico as well. Yeah, but Meta has the biggest footprint in the market. We have the most players out there.
I think on PlayStation, compared to some other devs, we actually do pretty good numbers, especially considering what type of game we are. But Meta is just, as Daniel said, huge. So.
That was a nice and easy answer. I'm glad you know that one straight off the bat. The next question is also from Medical Warning 9301, who would like to know, where are we? Have you thought about adding different environments to the game, maybe themed environments with themed puzzles, such as outer space or forests, etc.?
Yeah, for some of the puzzles, we actually did add a special one, especially, I think the one was Christmas. The first Christmas special we did, that was not Patreon, the first release Christmas special had a special environment. Special environments take time and effort to make, obviously, but they also take rendering resources. So our default environment is like one of the technically most optimized things I've ever done in my life. And that means it's basically space free. When we decide to add something a bit more fancy, we would have to use textures, and that starts using resources that we could otherwise assign to, at a minimum, to the number of piece counts. So if we had more elaborate environments, we would have the problem of it comes at the expense of whatever is in the puzzle itself, which would kind of be counterproductive a bit. That's the one side of it. And the other side of it is that what we have learned over the time is that if you want people to enjoy the puzzle, you just kind of give them the puzzle to focus on. And if you make a really cool environment, you kind of create an affordance for people to go and explore away from this central object, which is the point of the gameplay. However, for things like Christmas Special, we did realize that it does make a difference if you have vibe a bit more in the environments. So yeah, for Quest, performance is always a question, and time, of course. That's the main reason. And when we did release a special environment, it didn't seem, from the feedback we got from the player, it didn't seem to be such a big differential factor for us to say, okay, let's time this.
Our internal way to think about this is, based on our experiences, is usually after 30 seconds you're like completely oblivious of the environment anyway. So that's what happens to us, and I think that's what we heard from us. Yeah, or like that's what the feedback feels like. It's good. It's good to like get there and get grounded and like feel at home, but then people like pretty much blank on it.
I definitely like the idea of puzzling in outer space, though. That sounds fun, but like you say, I might forget I'm in outer space after about 5 minutes because I'm too busy trying to find out why this puzzle piece doesn't fit with another. It happens. Sometimes I get a bit stuck. Yeah, that would be cool. Where are we? Next question is from Proximity Frank. If you play in co-op mode, does your progress towards trophies save for both players?
Yes, it does. Actually, at the beginning, we were having some of the trophy stuff turned off, but it's an actual requirement from platforms. I think specifically Sony, maybe.
Only Sony has these kind of requirements.
Exactly. So what that means is that we basically have it on right now. And so yes, it counts. It should count, unless there's a bug. It should count for both players. Yeah.
That's very. Where did I get to? Okay. I have just closed the tab again. Fantastic. Oh, player. I don't know how to pronounce this. I'm so sorry. NA1 Cos. I'm sorry if I butchered your username. I tried. They would like to know if there's a possibility for a poll in-game to vote for the next country or type of puzzle to be in the game.
What was that?
Like some sort of questionnaire for the
Poll.
Yeah, like a poll to
Um,
vote for the ones you want next.
We haven't had any polls yet, but we will, I think, talk later a bit about like how we use the ratings and the new rating system that came this year to actually kind of drive these decisions and like drive our curation decisions. So every time you vote for a puzzle, it's in the end like you're polling, like whether you like this or want to see more of it or not. And then you can always leave suggestions. I mean, we could experiment if we have some more outrageous ideas to actually throw that in the Discord and maybe make room for some polling. A lot of the times is like we have to like find a scan or find a model first, and that's our most limiting factor. And it can also not be any model. It has to be something that is like can be fixed in a reasonable time, and then also it makes a fun puzzle, which we've gotten better over the year to like figure that out quickly. But yeah, we could look at least some like adding some options and maybe having some polls if you're all interested in that.
Yeah, we work very opportunistically most of the times with puzzle production of, okay, a specific location comes our way, quality is good. So we curate based on that. Yeah, but as Daniel said, maybe if you have several options, we could think about polling. But rating is definitely that already, and we'll go a bit more into that.
Definitely. So if you see a puzzle that you really, really love, give it a high rating and you'll see more like that.
And if you didn't enjoy a puzzle, give it a low rating.
Yeah.
Not you.
It's all up to you. Let's move on to our next question, which is from, I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong as well, Mukaylee456. Who would like to know, is it possible to upload and make their own puzzles using something like Polycam or LiDAR, or could they make something in Blender or Unreal Engine and then upload it? Is that possible?
At the moment, it is not. We are really excited about the advancements in like the scanning apps and just like the scanning tools getting easier. So what you can do, for example, is if you have a really cool scan, you can upload it to Sketchfab and send it to Link. We're happy to like take it into account for our puzzle curation. What you cannot do at the moment is like make it yourself. That being said, it's something that we've been, I think, excited from the get-go about. And we keep thinking about that, and we keep working on that and like experimenting with that. It's just not in a state where we can roll it out on a larger scale right now. Yeah, I don't want to promise anything, but it's something we're excited about, and I think that would just fit the idea of the game very well. So it's in our heads, and it's been actively worked on.
That'd be very cool and definitely something to look forward to and hold on for in the future. Okay, let's move on to our next question, which is from Ludwig. Are you looking into potentially using Gaussian splatting in the future?
So we have answered that in the previous dev chat. If you're interested, I've gone more in depth there. So there are some problems with Gaussian splatting. The way that they define the topology doesn't match really well with us needing very clean cuts and segments and like the indentation for the puzzling itself. We did experiment with neural rendering for what we had, which maybe we'll release at some point. It was fun. It was definitely that you could like move the metal around and you could like see some sort of reflection stuff going on. It's not that mind-blowing for puzzling per se as it is right now, but it's a fun little take. So if you're interested in that, let us know. Maybe we release a 25-piece free puzzle where you can try out some new technology advancement and R&D. But there needs to be some breakthroughs, because what doesn't make sense for us is to now get into proper machine learning and training and models and all of that, because that would mean that we are just completely out of development.
I think that's the additional thing that I would like to add is just there are so many crazy examples out there and they're super impressive, but the pipelines and the tooling is just not there yet. If you want to just like use it in like a production everyday life with especially with our short turnarounds. There's something that I'm personally super excited about is that it makes the process of capturing a lot easier, and it gives you more reliable results. Especially for user-generated content. Of course, that would be super interesting. But it's just at the moment that the field is moving so fast that there's a new thing like every couple of months, and you cannot build like a pipeline on that, because by the time you have your pipeline ready, it's like 3 generations further already. So I think things are slowing down a little bit. So let's see how it's going. But we definitely keep our eye on it, and I mean it's something that we're for sure excited about. But yeah, don't expect anything.
And a lot of the super impressive stuff you see out there are more science than technology, in a sense that, well, good luck reading that paper and actually making a product. Like, that's an entire company. Like, someone would make that for a living.
Definitely something to keep your eyes on for the future, see how it progresses, and we'll see how it plays out. And now, we're on to our last question of the day, which comes from Archangel, who is asking, what's the bigger hurdle for the Quest version? Is it the lack of processing power or the lack of RAM?
So RAM is not really relevant for us. I mean, RAM is barely a bottleneck for anyone, maybe except Google Chrome. So it is. So most of devices out there have gigabytes of RAM. And when you buy a puzzle from us, you download it, and it's like 100 something megabytes. So we can't possibly have a RAM bottleneck. The thing with, of course, the number of cores and both CPU and GPU could be a bottleneck depending on what we are doing. If you have a lot of logic for actors, which again, most of the time, just by the sheer fact that writing and programming those takes so much time, that doesn't happen to be most of the time the bottleneck. For most mobile devices, and Quest is one of them, the problem is that the bandwidth to read and write to memory is shared between both GPU and CPU. That means it doesn't matter what you do in the system, you're always using this very limited bandwidth. You can think of it as like a highway entry in LA or something.
Like where you merge onto.
Yeah, you merge onto. So it's like an eternal source of problem. And it could come from anywhere. It could come from a butterfly we added. For Tiny Glade, one thing that really breaks my heart was that I added like mathematical fish that like swim on the surface of the water, like in
so you see the shadow.
You see the shadow, yeah, the silhouette of the fish. And I had to take it out because the number of, it wasn't the number of operation itself, it's just reading stuff from the memory, writing to them, that all gets very expensive.
No, that's a little bit sad. I like the idea of having fish swimming in the water, but I know that these things aren't always possible. I've still got Summer Dive to go back to if I want to watch some fish. Okay, shall we move on to the second part of our dev chat, which is looking back a little bit over the past year and everything that's happened.
Sure. So, are you on our screen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, this is all we released last year. These are only the puzzles.
80 puzzles. We counted the other
80 puzzles. It's a lot of puzzles, no? Yeah, it wasn't as, I think the year before we released more puzzles because we had like 1 or 2 more mid because we had Lunar New Year as well, and then we had another one. This year was a little bit more quieter, but we go a bit more into that because we are doing also just.
I think it was actually. I mean, we might have been more puzzles, but I think the puzzles that we did release this year were definitely more involved. And
they were more involved, yeah. And we also had a couple of 1,000-piece puzzles this year. Yeah. I mean, Estonia Pack had quite a lot of them.
We only started that at the end of last year.
Yeah, we started at the end of last year. Vazirkan, I think, is still the only base game that has 1,000-piece, if I'm not mistaken. World Heritage Tour has a lot of them. A lot of exciting stuff. I mean, we had a dev chat around Timberlane. If you want to go and check that out, that's still probably my favorite thing because of we just don't have anything from that part of the world. But we did a bunch of collaboration, like Tiny Glade and Walkabout Mini Golf. I'm a huge fan of both games, so I was very happy about that. Yeah, did you have any favorites from this year?
I mean, I of course love the new animated puzzles, but something that I personally was also very excited about is the China Pack, because just it was so hard to get stuff from there. We've tried for like a couple of years now, and finally we found someone to collaborate with. And especially the one with the bridge. Yeah, the bridge. That is so quintessential China. Like, I mean, I had the pleasure to be there twice, and it's a different world, and like I was really happy that we were able to like catch that in like those puzzles.
Yeah, the bridge is also just a lot of fun.
It's such a good puzzle.
Yeah. Other than that, fan favorite is the Natural History Museum. People really like that puzzle. There was another one from the interior pack, the monastery.
I think we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yes. So yeah, and then we had the super premiums. We did 4 of them.
Is that like an official term now that we have super premiums?
Also, at some point, premiums become super premiums. We did actually 5 of them. There is also Tiny Glade, which I don't have here because we haven't released it yet. As in, it's going to be released by the time this is out. But and these were a lot of fun to work on. Again, like so VizierCon Day and Night was more in line with the type of premiums we have done before because we had system for Day and Night before. So we didn't have to do anything new here. The Summer Dive is done in a very specific way, which I hope we never do again. Like they're basically the biggest reasons why it took such a long time was that we are not using, this is not just one photogrammetry scan. This is basically a person created scene. So the airplane is a photogrammetry scan, but the rest of the scene I created, changed the colors and everything. And that's such a long process, right? So if you just take a scan of something like Barcelos, it has a river. You don't have to create a river. You don't have to create a tree. You don't have to create a building. You don't have to research architecture. And also the animation of the fish is done in the most stupid way that is possible.
I mean, that was all like project animated, right? Like these are not like animations that you can like download from Mixamo or something because like this has all been like mathematically determined in a shader. Because we just didn't have a system for adding animation. So fortunately with Dance of the Damned we added this. And
so yeah, the Sunny Stroll in Barcelos and Dance of the Damned, basically a series of systems we wrote that. And that's kind of invisible to the players, but we have started expanding our pipeline. We have a C++ pipeline in-house that does a lot of stuff. We started really expanding that into Blender itself so that we can use functionality from Blender in order to be able to do a lot of really cool stuff like pre-save some information we might need for animation. And then we use this information in Unreal Engine in order to like put things together. And that's what made the 2 of them kind of possible. The Sunny Stroll in Barcelos for me is a very special puzzle also because my wife is born there, and that was a scan I did from, I don't know, remember when it was.
It's a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago, yeah. I scanned a bunch of stuff from Portugal. Batalha Day Night was also one of them. And there is a little, for the ones who have played it, we have a dev chat from Batalha Day and Night, and then I point out to a statue of a guy who was the Lord Constable, was the head of the military in the dynasty at the time, and his house is this little room here. So it's kind of like interconnected into the
puzzling places lore.
Yeah, puzzle bear. So a lot of fun, and programming the drivers was also fun for those of people who have been to Portugal. Very aggressive driving.
But yeah, and the funny thing is you don't have a driver's license.
I don't have a driving license. So people kept pointing out that this stupid arrow on the ground is not the direction you're supposed to go to. Yeah.
It's a yield sign.
Yeah, exactly. So, but a lot of fun. Yeah, it's and we will hopefully see more of these. These are really fun to work.
Also, our sound designer was kind of shocked when Shah told him that we're gonna have basically like a whole GTA game.
Yeah.
Because for him that means like, yeah, that's kind of like the same work as like a GTA game, like where all the cars are like driving around because like they all need to make sounds and they need to honk and the different models have to make different things.
Yeah. But those are all the things that are kind of invisible to you, but it will make it possible that something like Dance of the Damned can be made in 2 weeks. Or things like now we have animation systems in Unreal that match with the Blender. We have ways of like linking sounds specifically to for a specific puzzle, reusing certain assets. So all of these.
Speaking of sounds, also the song in Dance of the Damned that I think a lot of people liked was actually written and recorded and everything like done by our sound designer Pimali.
Yeah.
We keep joking that he has to put that up on Spotify to launch his career.
To his horror.
To his horror.
Because it's in the house.
No, but it's an amazing song. It was super fun. Like the first time I played it, I was like, wow.
It's very good, yeah. Exactly. And we did Apple Vision Pro this year.
Yeah. It's at the very beginning of the year in February. I think it was February, right?
Yeah, it was February.
Yeah, we launched. So a fun fact about this is actually we had to completely rewrite the game in Unity, and we have some more. There's some more talks online where we talk about this in more detail. But yeah, that was quite a journey. It was interesting. So we mainly did it to learn and like explore a new platform. It's a much more limited version of the game. I think we have like 9 puzzles in there.
Yeah.
It was super interesting to build. We learned a lot about a different style of interactions. Unfortunately, the Apple Vision Pro doesn't seem to be big on gaming at this point. So I think people really like all these productivity tools, but like games is not so much a factor, at least for us. The sales have not been like super good, so there's nothing planned yet. We over the year we added like 2 more puzzle packs, but that's where we'll keep it at this point. If things move forward, and the hope would be at some point that we can actually use our Unreal code base to support Apple Vision. That would make things a lot easier. That we could like integrate a lot more stuff.
Yeah, and some people asked us, why is this version so different than what we have otherwise? As Daniel said, we wanted to learn, we wanted to explore our game design, and you could kind of like try to force the version of the VR that we have on Meta on Apple, but that's not really what Apple is trying to do. So
you would be at every step of the way you'd be working against their systems that they built, and we went to one of like the dev labs, for example, and we talked to them, and they were like, no, this is like not really the direction that we like. You can, but like. And so we try to build something that's native to the platform.
Yeah. And there are some talks on that if you are interested in going very in depth of why we made the specific design decisions. So we also did the survey this year for player types.
Yeah, this is actually really, really cool. Like my background is in cognitive science, so I was really excited when I found the Quantic Foundry model of like gamer motivations because like it just felt like a much more interesting way of like defining your target audience behind like, casual, mid-core, hardcore players, which kind of never made sense to me. And so this is mainly based on like why you play certain games and like what are the motivations, what is it you're looking for from your games. And we sent this out as a questionnaire to you all, to our player base, and got the results back. And after a lot of math, so we ran a principal component analysis on this whole thing. We found actually 4 kind of player types or like personas that we have in the game, and maybe we can just quickly go through it. It's like this is more interesting for us, I guess, but we just wanted to share and like let you know a bit why.
Maybe you can find yourself in one of them.
So on the one side we have the idle puzzlers. These are kind of almost like mobile game players, so this match-free persona. They're very casual gamers, and they use puzzling more as a service. It's just like something that they integrate in their lives. It's like a busy hands, calm mind kind of activity. Then we have the puzzle explorers. They're also like fairly chill. They like to play without competition. So like low competition was actually something that was like present through pretty much all people. They just embrace the idea of like exploring new places. So for them, like that these are real places is really interesting and really fun. Then we have the puzzle purists. So these are people who just like they love like physical jigsaw and they just like love the act of puzzling. So they love to challenge themselves, but like in a non-competitive way. So just like they do this thing for the sake of doing it. They just have joy in the process of like completing a very challenging puzzle. And then I think the most interesting group that we found, which is really funny because like a lot of the traits in that group are like super normal distributed. So like they're just like a really like mix of different things. And they actually come to, we call them calm down puzzlers because they actually usually play other games, often much more action oriented. And then they somehow end up trying out puzzling places. Maybe they bought it for their mom or like for their boyfriend or like whoever. And they were surprised themselves that they actually do like the game. And if you look through our reviews, we have like a lot of reviews like this. It's like, oh, I just like tried this on a whim and like never thought I'd like it. And like here am I like 20 hours later puzzling the monolith and stuff like that. So it's a very interesting crowd. So no one you can really design for because they're so different, so heterogeneous. And but actually quite like almost like a quarter of our player base are these kind of folks that just like stumbled into it and like found their love for puzzling places.
Even more than a quarter. I think that's the biggest segment. So we have so much information around this that you could probably write a PhD about. I'm just sharing. Yeah, only this part is the only one we are sharing.
Yeah, this was like catnip for me, and I really like to make plots.
So the part that's interesting is that if you were with us from the very beginning from Patreon, you're probably more on the right side, somewhere around here. So most of the people that we know by name that have been following us for a long time, and they did the thing, they are mostly around here. And this is our like core audience, like the puzzle purists they love the puzzle, right? So that's what they are there. But in between, they are not even our largest audience anymore because they love the game so much through word of mouth. They keep recommending it to other people, and more different type of players have come. So now this spot is actually our largest, which this spot probably has growth potential. If you see us,
if you would ever do a mobile game, this would probably be the audience.
Exactly. And if you are doing something like simple mode, we are also providing more for these type of players as well. Yeah. So our strategy, because the whole point of this was to better understand our players so that we can provide the things that you enjoy, is to never dissatisfy the purists, because those are the core, the foundation upon everything is, although they are not the majority anymore. And to provide things like animation, exploration, cool stuff for this area, and some mechanic for here so that people have,
for example, simple mode. Yeah.
For example, the simple mode. The one thing we also learned though is we can't really aim for the calm down puzzlers, because for them we are the second, third, fourth game. Their first game could be completely something else. They might like a shooter or a Beat Saber, or so completely something else. And if we try to appeal to them, like design the game for them, we would be competing with their favorite game.
Yeah, and the game would also become very inconsistent.
Yeah, very inconsistent in the vibe. So yeah, that's just the kind of a summary of some of the stuff we did.
I'm curious, before we move on, where do you think you fit on this graph? I'm curious, I'll ask.
I know where I am. I'm completely puzzle purist, but I'm around here somewhere.
Yeah, I think I'm like between the puzzle purists and puzzle explorers. But I think we did like
we did a team, team fight.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, but yeah, I know
we should give the questionnaire to you, Stephanie.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe there is something like find your puzzle type.
Find your puzzle type.
I'm gonna make a guess before I do it. I'm gonna guess I'm somewhere between a puzzle explorer and a puzzle explorer and a puzzle purist. If my result comes out different, find out on the next Dev Q&A. I will let you know.
Yeah, sounds good. So here's a little end of the year award show. Puzzle of the year. So these are not puzzles, because this is the first year. It doesn't make a lot of sense to do puzzles released this year because people are rating a lot of puzzles for the first time. But these are the top performing.
Bye.
We actually got this from PlayStation.
It's a non-alcoholic champagne, which does.
It's interesting.
Interesting. I'm not saying anything else. I don't even drink alcohol, but so here's the
beer was non-alcoholic, if you're wondering.
So this is the top performing puzzles this year, not necessarily released this year. These are the puzzles that people love the most. So I think Dance of the Dam, Summer Dive, Sunny Stroll in Barcelos, none of that are really surprised. These are the new.
This is where we put our most effort. So it would be really frustrating for us if they would be further down.
The Tomb of Ramses VI is for us a surprise. I mean, I understand why people love it. It's super detailed and just
it's such a hard puzzle.
And it's a very hard puzzle, though. It's a very difficult puzzle. So we are really surprised to have that as number 3. But I think people just maybe like the story, right? The vibe, the story.
And there's so much to discover. I think this is like really something that like plays to both puzzle explorers, for example, because you can explore a location, and the purists because it's just like an interesting hard puzzle.
Yeah, definitely. The Haunted House used to be the longest time the most favorite puzzle before their new type of puzzle came out. So obviously the Battaglia Day and Night is again very animated. Blue Temple was like the first puzzle, I think, where we had animations inside, which I think most people don't realize it.
It's like really tiny animations, but we also had the add-ons, like the monks taking a selfie, or like the tiger and stuff.
That I'm still upset about that animation, because that's some of the most complicated animations I have done mathematically. Minus Summer Dive, and the Summer Dive code is based on that. But it's so small that no one notices it. So I learned something important from that.
Oh no.
Yeah. Oh, how do I go back?
Oh, spoilers.
Yeah, Waldstein is just such.
It's like an evergreen.
Yeah, it's such a crazy location. Like, it's the place you want to be as a child.
Yeah. And I think also like Pierre-Marie really nailed the audio on this one. It's like just like eerie like reverberations of like World War I in the background, and while they're like having this party in the foreground. Also very timely, I guess.
We have a dev chat around that if you're interested. Natural history is one of the new ones that just like proves, the story says so much about the location, right? I think the giant whale thing in the middle, like
It's just a really good thumbnail.
very good fun. This is a very difficult puzzle. You will see later, but
Oh, but it's an amazing puzzle.
It's
It's really cool. Sound is good. The scan is amazing. This was done by Art Flash, right?
Yeah.
So shout out to Art Flash. For those of you who don't know him, like he's the guy from the UK who just like does a lot of amazing scans. And I think we have a lot of them in Puzzling Places. So thanks to him for his amazing work.
Yeah. And upper vestibule is like, I think if you were going to mechanically define a perfect puzzle, it's probably this. It's the combination of everything. It's very 3D, super interesting subject matter, very diverse set of textures,
Very good
materials, very good scan, different lighting, different mood, vibe. It's
The musical elements in the audio
musical
are like
elements.
super nice.
Yeah, it's very nice because you hear people walk around and it gets busy and quiet and
It's this one of the puzzles where it really pays off to like lean in and listen to like the different areas, because there's a lot of murmuring coming from the painting section.
Yeah. So yeah, these were your top puzzles, the ones that you rated highest this year. So now we get to the controversial puzzles. So the way we calculate controversial is that some people might really love something, and other people might really hate it. And we calculate this variance of the standard deviation of the population, and from that we get that. Musk Observatory.
We were always wondering if it has something to do with the name.
I think it has to do with difficulty. So controversial puzzles are usually either very difficult or it's the subject matter that but difficulty is definitely like the ones that you see here. I think minus British Breakfast. I think the British Breakfast is just, it was a free hidden puzzle which we did for the first time this year. That once you've finished everything.
There's also Döner.
There's also Döner, and both of them are like, some people love it because they're like, oh, this is funny, and some people just really do not like it.
So that's why we didn't make them like full puzzles, but we kind of like the idea of having that as a small hidden puzzle in there.
Yeah. So I think the thing that is in common with all of them is the difficulty. Musk Observatory is very dark, quite difficult. But I think the reason why Musk Observatory is very loved is that it's one of a kind. It's very unique in subject matter. It's very moody and atmospheric. The monolith is just insane. Like, it's like,
we had this guy who completed the puzzle, I think, without. Did he do it without reference pictures?
Yeah, 1,000 pictures. I mean, reference pictures would help you none.
Yeah.
The white block.
So he did like 1,000 piece reference pictures, and like how long did it take? Like
27 hours.
Yeah, he played it for 27 hours. So like shout out
to you guys, to the legends. I am not gonna touch that puzzle. It looks too crazy to me.
Did they take a break or not? Just 27 straight hours.
I don't know, but if he did 27 straight, I'm worried for him.
Yeah. This is a. I think there's a specific crowd that really enjoys the extreme challenge of a very difficult puzzle.
So we try to sprinkle that in every now and then, not too often, because we know that like for a lot of people this is not like very enticing, but like for like the few of you who are really into that, we try to have it every now and then.
Yeah, the Lower Manhattan, it's one of the craziest scans that we have ever, but I understand why it's controversial because it's very difficult. A lot of samey looking buildings, but it is one of a kind. Like, I also understand why some people really love it.
I mean, and also like the like just looking at the finished puzzle is so cool. Yeah, it's just, and you can like discover so much stuff there. But yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, we already talked about that. This guy, one of my biggest regret is that there is one piece in this puzzle that is impossible without help to find. Again, shout out to anyone who did it on his own. It's a very difficult thing, and I do hope at some point I have the time to add a system to fix this after the map. We don't have this right now. But other than that, I think it's a cool puzzle. But
yeah, I was surprised that it was actually ranked fairly low.
So I haven't actually done this one yet, so you need to let me know where this puzzle piece needs to go so I can solve it.
It's at 400. If you do below 400, you're good. But at 400, there's just one that is in the inside. You cannot see it. It's occluded from it.
You have to like...
Yeah.
And we had several people post about that, and then like someone from the community always comes in and it's like, oh yeah, it's that piece again. He had to put it there.
Yeah. So next one is the least liked puzzle. This is not just directly the least rated puzzles, because the least rated puzzles are some of the more controversial puzzles as well, just because of the controversy. But these are puzzles where they are not very highly rated, and they have a very small divergence. That means that most people
So
actually
people agree that they don't like them.
They don't like them. There are not actually that many of them. These three were the only one where it was just obviously the case. I think with the fountain, it's very atmospheric, but some of the areas around it is thematically maybe not very fun, and also kind of hard to puzzle. The piano, I think a lot of bushes around. Yeah,
bushes. No one ever likes.
No one ever likes bushes.
What is interesting to me is also that like all of these are kind of fairly small in scale. Yeah. So there seems to be something that even like with challenging puzzles, if it's a large scale puzzle, it's somehow more rewarding than these. Fun fact: this excavator was actually white.
Oh yeah,
and Azad recolored it, and I think if we would have left it white, it would probably scored even lower.
The thing with mechanical is, I was telling Stephanie that it's like most of the time if you're puzzling like architecture, there's an internal logic that makes sense intuitively to most people, right? So a door next to another door usually means symmetry. So there's a door on the other side, parks next to buildings. So all of that kind of makes sense. Mechanically, you don't necessarily have that intuition of how a gear is connected to another gear, or
and then they often have these undersides that are like not well scanned and like orbs and these kind of things.
Yeah. Get to that a bit in a sec. So most difficult puzzles. This is a very fun one. Greek packs. I completely understand why this is there. It's a very difficult puzzle. It's fun and rewarding. I really like it. Orange rooftops. I really like it, but it's extremely difficult. The wave also, we knew it was going to be difficult.
And then we were mean enough to also add the moving clouds.
Yes, and then we changed the light and make it far less lenient. Why not? This is also a bit of a cult classic for some people, so it depends. Lower Manhattan, I already said that we should do a charity 1,000-piece black puzzle noir. Lower Manhattan.
Wow.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, we do actually have a feature called Puzzle Noir. It's a feature.
You can go to the settings. You can turn it on, like turns it black and white.
Yes, and I think New York would be a very good fit for the Puzzle Noir vibe.
It should the audio should change.
The audio should change. A detective thing.
Yeah. If anyone wants to do a how many is it? 1,000-piece Lower Manhattan black and white speed run. I'd be very, very excited to see that. So please do show us if you try it.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, and then from the list, this is from Estonia Park. I haven't actually played this one. So the Kimono Natural History Museum and Marsaba, again, no surprise that these are some of. But this is interesting because, okay, while these ones are controversial, these three are really loved. So there's not a super strong correlation between difficulty and rating.
Rating.
Yeah, but there seems to be that most puzzles that are controversial are very, very difficult. So there's definitely that. But I think one of the differences is just subject matter, for example, makes a lot of difference if you're just doing one stone or if you're doing like an epic town.
I think here the difficulty is rewarded in these in a way where maybe like a monolith feels less so.
Yeah. So last one is that we also ask you to add tags to your rating, and we use this information to try to figure out what type of puzzles you would like to see, right? So this is ranked. So here you have like the rating themselves, and the deviation is what I was talking about. The smaller this number is, the lower the risk of making puzzles.
The more people agree. Low number means people agree, like high number means people disagree.
People disagree on that. So if we do something mechanical, some people are just not going to love it.
And some people love
but
it.
Some people will like it. So basically, we have animation, epic, exceptional sound, atmospheric, inside out. A lot of people keep asking for colorful stuff. I understand that. I do want to point out that, you have a specific taste. Some other people might like different things. So please do let us know. Rate things. Let us know that so that we are curating. The way we are looking at things right now is that if we want to do a new curation, we try to have a pack that
covers these bases as much as we can.
Covers this base as much as we can. We try to have few of the ones on the lower side for the people who enjoy that, a lot of the parts on the upper side. And if we have something completely new that has never been tried before, most of the time we look at a potential puzzle and we ask ourselves, do we have a puzzle like this in the catalog of 240 puzzles now? 30. Do we have something like this? And then we look at the stats of how it performed, and that kind of gives us a good idea of whether we should do it. And if it's completely new, we try to keep it like one to a pack.
Yeah, we try to have like one experimental thingy in a pack max.
So yeah, please just rate. This is probably the most straightforward way, because a lot of the people also are not on Discord, they're not on Facebook, they're not on Reddit, and they usually surprise us, because people who are on these social medias, they let us know, and they also skew a bit our idea of what people want. But then this is like the ground truth for us.
By the way, you can also go back and rate puzzles that you've already completed. So it's not only that you can rate them when you're done, but you can like maybe just go back to like rate your 3 favorite puzzles from that you haven't so far, and your 3 least favorite puzzles. I think that would help us a lot in making our curation decisions.
Oh, that's it from our side.
Stephanie, what's your favorite tag?
My favorite tag? Good question. I like the animations, I have to admit. I really love the sheep and like the ducks in Tiny Glade. And I absolutely love the little swimming I know I said this already. I love the little swimming fish in Summer Dive. I think that's probably my favorite puzzle. Like, it's so like warm and summery, and I really love fish and aquariums, so I absolutely love it. What are your favorite puzzles?
Yeah, I mean, I also really like the animations, but I also do have a soft spot for the epic ones. Like Moss and Michelle is still like one of my absolute favorites. The interior ones, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, what is funny to me that the trees and bushes tag is not the lowest rated one.
No, it's optic and mechanical. It's like people have like a man needs to have his boundary.
We should by the way add like orange rooftop tag.
Yeah, orange rooftop tag. I think for me, still like Marsaba, Timberlane. So for me, it's probably would be epic, atmospheric, historical, like these grand historical locations. But that's just because I really love history. Yeah.
Right. Cool. I think we made it through. Just in time before the light is completely gone. I mean, we're in Berlin, so at 4 p.m. like there's darkness and engulfs us.
Next year, expect to see more of the systems that we have built this year to kind of pay off in cool new puzzles. We are getting better and better at, selecting the puzzles that you like, I think. So continue rating, and we will work on that. We're working on some exciting stuff, which we still cannot announce, but we will be at some point. Yeah, I think that's the most we can say about the future. No?
Yeah. No, there's new things coming in the puzzleverse.
Thank you all very much for joining us. Keep an eye out on our socials, and make sure to keep an eye out in case we're asking for more questions for our next dev chat if you want to be featured. And yeah, have happy holidays, and we'll see you in the new year.
Happy puzzling. Bye-bye.
Happy puzzling. Bye.